This is Conscious Conversations, hosted by Information Depository. Always remember, opinions are subjective. The truth is objective. The opinions in this podcast are merely subjective tools tailored to guide the listener to the objective truth. Apologies in advance.
Yeah, I know. If this is what it takes.
Yes, this is the sacrifice of service.
Apparently,
So I'm ready when you're ready.
I still like the sense of being, we're talking about free will. Yes.
True.
So you said I should send you a topic now.
Yeah. I saw something about faith.
Faith, sorry. I mean, faith, free will, they are interconnected, but yes, faith. Are we masters of our faith? Okay, so let me provide context, right? And maybe we can start. Have we started recording?
Oh, yeah.
Look at you! Look at you! Maybe I shouldn't have asked because now it's longer. So anyway, for me, the phrase "master of your fate" comes from this old poem. I think it's titled "Invictus." Am I wrong about this? The last,
my ship.
yes, I'm the master of my fate. I'm the captain of my ship.
My ship.
And that line always struck me. I've always liked the idea of, here I am, I'm the master of my fate, with your fist pumping in the air. And well, to be more honest, it's appealed to the older teenager in me when you don't want your parents telling you what to do.
I'm just realizing I took it from a totally different perspective.
Interesting. So for me, being a 17 or 19-year-old is like, yeah, I'm the master of my fate. You can't tell me what to do, dad. You can't tell me what to do more, that sort of thing. Of course, as the years have gone by, that phrase has evolved in meaning for me. And it means something more intentional. It means I take more responsibility. And maybe that's a sign of maturity and adulthood. But being a master of your fate, at least in principle, even though, again, we're going to discuss if we truly, really are the masters of our fate, right? But being a master of your fate means or implies that whatever happens to you is your doing. So I don't want to use succeed or fail because I feel like those words are charged with competition and just material gain. But if you fare well or if you fare poorly, that's your doing. So it shifts from the audacity of youth, where, I can do anything I want to do, to it's like, wow, I really can do anything I want to do, but the consequences will come.
Yeah.
And how I end up in whatever situation is as a result of my making. I better buckle up.
It reminds me
right?
of the meeting that, like this last part reminds me of the meeting that I had with someone. It wasn't a personal meeting. It was more like a group meeting.
A group setting.
We were having a conversation. He's the CEO of a company called Peak Vision.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool name, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a particular phrase he said that stuck out for me, where he was like, I think he said he has it hung somewhere on his wall.
Yeah.
That's just because you can do anything doesn't mean you should do
everything. Yeah. I like the sound of that.
Yeah. So it ties with this, like when you realize, oh, I actually can do anything.
Yes. Like, wow, I have agency and I have free will. What am I going to do with my life?
But the fact that that is a potential within me, does it particularly mean I should do anything?
Mm-hmm. And then if you should or you shouldn't, what metric are you using to determine for yourself what you should or shouldn't do? Because that's a follow-up question, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you can do anything, but you probably shouldn't do everything.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing everything, what should you be doing and what should you not be doing? How do you then decide what you should or should not be doing?
I think in several ways for several people, it boils down to what I would say are their principles.
Okay.
For so many people, that's what helps as a guide. For instance, I can be a businessman, a market trader, and within the dynamics of being a market trader, it's not particularly considered illegal if, let's say, I see who happens to be a high paying customer and I decide to up my price temporarily to suit that particular situation.
Okay.
And afterwards, if I see who happens to be a regular customer, I bring it down.
a bit.
You see this in the markets.
Oh yeah, it happens.
You understand? They do it without that sense of guilt of this is something wrong.
I don't even
It's like
think they
that's-
see it as unethical.
yeah, it's like that's
yes.
part of the market dynamics.
Yeah.
Like if they can afford to pay the price, then that's fine. Then I could now be an individual who maybe based on my own personal guiding principles feel, I don't feel too comfortable with this. Like, why should I treat this person differently from how I treat this person? And I decide to just make it a flat rate for everyone where I feel it's fair for me to gain some profit, but it's also not trying to intentionally take advantage of a situation that I find myself. Now, those are principles that are helping to guide that. In future, it could turn out that that little decision could lead to a bigger consequence or effect.
Yes.
Either
Positive or negative.
just positive or negative.
Or beneficial or non-beneficial.
Yeah. It could lead to maybe, for instance, gaining trust of the other person.
Yes.
And they, in return, now act in a certain way that I wasn't prepared for.
Yes.
It could also lead to my business crumbling.
Yes, because you lose out on very vital profits.
So, but either or, one could call that the fate as well attached to such a decision.
By virtue of you making that decision.
By virtue of you making that decision. But and it's not like at the point of when I was making that decision, I didn't know that I can't make the other decision. I just chose.
You decided.
I decided. And in a large sense, those principles. And most times for people, principles too are also derived from the laws.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know whether I should use the word, a customized version of.
You mean of existing legal framework? Or how do you mean?
So it's like, for instance, one of the universal laws are the law of sowing and reaping.
Yes.
Now, how I internalize and also reflect that in my day-to-day being could be seen in maybe a principle I have developed for myself through an understanding of that law.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
So it draws is
in other words, the individual bases or weaves their principles or devises their principles based on their understanding of the law of sowing and reaping.
In this context of a law, the principles could still be attached to something totally different. Like the inception or the development of the principle could still be attached to something different.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be the law of sowing and reaping.
Yeah. It could still be maybe bad education.
Okay.
In several ways.
Or maybe misinformation.
Maybe being exposed to certain environments that taught you a different aspect of life and your survival.
Give them a survival approach to things, and that shapes their perspective on the principles they work by and how they wish to proceed in their daily doings.
I mean, you hear people who, as far as they're concerned, they have made up their mind about certain things in life, like, human beings are wicked.
Yes, I have heard that often, where it's a very pessimistic perspective on human beings and humanity, where it's like, you know what, I'm not even going to give human beings at all the benefit of the doubt.
If I was to make some inference from our previous episode where you made that example about the elephant.
Yes.
And the part of the elephant they felt might have been on the receiving end of what you could term some wickedness by a fellow man or men.
Yeah.
And
that led them to that conclusion that, look, there is
After
nothing.
being,
After
being
experiencing
on the
this,
receiving end
I
of
don't
some
see
sort of
anything good in this
trauma or
in this part of the world. And
yes.
as a consequence of that, I would develop some principles to protect me from
away
from this.
away from this.
So this is just me trying to express how those principles, which might lead to the decisions, might not always be anchored in, let's say, the universal laws.
I like this explanation on how not everybody bases their principles on laws like sowing and reaping. And I was also thinking about the law of sowing and reaping. I'm not sure everybody even thinks of sowing and reaping in principle as a law. Some people just think it's some nice phrase that people use to describe the concept of sowing and reaping, or things going back to the originator. And then you spoke of universal laws. Is that something you would like to shed some light on?
Okay. I might say this now, and to an average person, it might sound like, oh, this sounds so wise and stuff. I feel before I start, it feels fair to make reference to how, even though in my personal life experience, I have come in contact with, or I've come to understand these laws better. In several ways, I had an aid.
Okay.
Yes, some work which I had examined, and it threw a lot of light to this law. So from the work, I got to understand that fundamentally, there is one universal law, which is the law of movement.
Okay.
Yes. Now, this law of movement essentially expresses itself in three fundamental forms. Let's look at it as the three branches of this one stem. And we all know it consciously or unconsciously in our day-to-day experiences. So, for instance, one of the most evident laws around us is the law of homogeneity. In several places and climes, they know it as showing me your friend and I'll tell you who you are.
Birds
Some
of
other
a
set of people, birds
together.
flock together. Some other people like father, like son.
Yes.
There are just different ways we capture this wise law.
And even in reality, we find ourselves forming cliques. Right? In high school, in university, even within the same right?
Like under one day, you just see people are already in clusters. People that probably didn't even know themselves
beforehand.
Like they're already in a group of 1,000 people, you could find about 200
clusters here and there of roughly 3 to 7 people coming together. And there will be some basis of commonality, some basis of homogeneity.
They're not conscious of the reason behind why
it is that
attracted to this set of people.
Yes, it's true.
It just comes under casual terms like, I like their vibe.
Yes, this guy passes the vibe check. Or this girl vibes well with me, so we're cool together.
They're cool, so I like them. But that's essentially the law of homogeneity in action. It even takes place in things we probably haven't also settled down to interrogate, like family, choice of incarnation, where you incarnate, which in a way we can tie down to this fate conversation.
Interesting. Now I'm intrigued.
And maybe that was also part of where I took the conversation at first when I heard it. And I know, you see this statement, as a Nigerian, I've said this several times, where someone questions, why am I here?
Yes.
Why am I in this country?
Absolutely.
What did I have to do?
What crimes did I commit in the past life that I have been born in this?
You see where they question these things with so much emotion and all that. And that was where I unintentionally took the statement. I didn't have a preview to this reference. Yes. But I've digressed a bit. That's the first law.
Okay.
The second law, like I said, it's the law of sowing and reaping, which we still experience it in our day-to-day. Every farmer will tell you that there's no time they have planted corn that what came out was an orange tree.
Absolutely not.
At best, it might be an unhealthy corn.
Yes.
That will come out of it. At
worst, yes. And even when it turns out that you harvest unhealthy corn cobs, it's as a result of either the seedlings themselves were bad, right?
The soil
or maybe
was
the
not
soil
treated properly.
was not treated properly. it did not have the requisite
Too
nutrients,
much water.
so much water, or too little water,
Yeah.
too much sunlight, or too little sunshine. But at the core of it, borrowing your corn seed to corn cob analogy, at the core of it, the corn cob you get at harvest is as a result of your own actions.
Yeah.
As the farmer,
Yeah.
in coming to terms with the reality of the nature of the soil and all that. Beautiful analogy right there.
Yeah. That's one analogy. We can spend even an hour trying to come up with different analogies for this.
And maybe we would, but not for today's
episode.
Not for today,
yeah.
Yeah.
So the third one, which coincidentally we touched on a bit in the last episode. Yeah, the law of gravitation.
Yes.
Which, I mean, we touched on it from a more physics perspective
Okay.
in the earthly sense.
Yeah.
But it transcends the earthly sense.
It transcends the mundane, I see.
Because all these laws, for starters, are not particularly earthly laws. They are spiritual laws. And they also take effect on earth. Because the earth is not above the spirit. The spirit is above the earth. So anything that applies above applies below.
Okay, so you're saying so many things that make me want to ask many more questions. And I'm trying not to get ahead of you. So keep going. But just know that I have a number of questions waiting for you.
Given examples of how other laws can manifest, let me just give a brief example for
the law of
from a human experience perspective.
Yes.
You know when you receive a good news and suddenly you feel so light and vibrant,
elated.
Yeah, you're jumping up. Prior to that, you might have been hungry and acting like someone that wants to.
You might have not had a particularly rough day.
You know?
Yes.
And
I've had that.
And suddenly that experience just lifts you up and you're buzzing with energy. You're ready to act. You realize while you might have tied activity to maybe physical food, you heard that that's not particularly the condition for certain kinds of activity.
Yeah.
And I remember this from, maybe you might have forgotten, but the first episode we recorded on the 24th of March.
Okay.
I remember very well, a few minutes before the episode, you had complained that you're feeling sleepy.
I did, actually.
Yes.
And then when we started our conversations, our conscious conversations. Yes. I felt enlivened. I had so much energy. Thoughts were pouring through my head.
And if you remember, by the time we had finished, and you were still very vibrant and active, I now asked you that question. I thought you were feeling sleepy.
You did actually. I was like, oh yeah, no way in that moment would I have fallen asleep. I felt energetic. I felt enlivened. I felt animated as well.
Yeah, and that's an effect of that law of spiritual gravitation.
I see.
It lifted you up. You felt lighter because the vibration you were in at that point was more luminous, for lack of a better word. And that way, it was floating.
Yes, I definitely felt flighty and freer.
You know?
By virtue of the conversations that we had.
There's still so many ways we can interrogate this and understand how it plays around in our day-to-day life.
Right.
But I'm using this because this is a conversation with you and I just wanted to
that's it. And how do I say, it gave me a new perspective on that explanation. While you spoke, something came to mind because you talked about getting good news, having enlivening conversations. And I was thinking about music, right? Because sometimes I listen to some pieces of some songs, could be classical, could be instrumental, could be rap, and I feel energized. I feel like, oh, it's a Tuesday morning. I'm ready to take on the day. I have all the energy. And
music is actually a very good reference.
Right?
Yeah.
And then for some cases, some songs are just sad and I'm just really, I feel down.
Yeah. Part of the people that could also relate to this might be people who, for lack of a better way to express this, are going through a heartbreak.
Yes.
And usually there are some select kinds of songs they listen to at that point in time. And those songs also help keep them
in that
state.
Or feeling down, downcast,
pitiable, and all that. And you realize the very moment they start to gravitate away from that state of mind, their choice of music, coincidentally, also starts to change.
Yes.
You understand? So One can also say the chicken and the egg, which comes
Which
first.
comes first?
But
Right.
you realize that pattern, and
I see the pattern, and it's almost as if you describe the universal laws as spiritual laws, and I'm thinking of how either with music or with a certain conversation or a certain interaction we feel, or even literature, right? Depending, certain things we read make us feel elevated and enlightened and feel light. With the law of spiritual gravitation, as I am now beginning to understand it through the course of this conversation, we can oscillate, or no, not oscillate, we can grow from a lower stage of
oscillate and ox. Let me just take advantage of accent. What's the meaning of the
oscillate? So oscillate is like to move from one point
Like
to
a
the other, like a pendulum, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
a pendulum is a pendulum in motion.
Yeah, like
Is a
cycling.
classic example
Yeah.
of oscillation. So you go back,
Swinging from
forth.
here to here.
Exactly. But that's not what I intended to say.
Oh,
But that's
okay.
why I corrected myself. So with the law of spiritual gravitation, you could actually go upwards or downwards. In
So
terms
okay,
of
maybe
spiritual,
like a vertical oscillation.
a vertical oscillation, yes. Because to our mundane conception of gravity is vertical.
It's vertical, yeah.
Gravity is very vertical. So
Yeah.
you throw an orange, it comes down.
Yeah.
The only reason why it might deviate from the vertical line is if you throw it at an angle and all that, or if you stand from the top of a building and you drop something, it just drops down, right? So gravity in my head is very vertical, and I see it as, okay, maybe as you go higher, figuratively, you get lighter.
Yeah.
You get lighter spiritually. You feel more alive. You feel less burdened. You feel less overwhelmed. You feel freer, maybe even purer, right? I think those are the pictures that are coming to mind.
Just to draw now parallel from what a lot of us might understand, the reference of crude oil and fractional distillation.
Yes.
Yes.
I remember my high school chemistry.
Yeah. Same product. In its densest form is crude oil.
Yes, very, very thick, very
thick,
black,
yeah.
very dense. Yeah.
Then when you start to generate product from it, you realize that, for instance, the product called diesel is way denser than the product called fuel.
Yeah,
like
that's
petrol.
Petrol, PS.
Yeah. So you drop
And then
diesel
kerosene.
in an open bucket, you drop petrol in an open bucket, you realize petrol starts to
evaporate quite quickly. Yeah.
Well, diesel still stays
in
the bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you go to liquefied gas or whatever the other products that are lighter than.
At the point, it's not even liquid anymore. It's just gaseous
in its free state.
Yeah.
And when you see it in those final states, it would never occur to you that this was once crude oil in this very dense, solid state, which you probably looked at with some level of disgust when you look at the reels.
I couldn't even do much with it.
You understand? So it, in a way, also helps us understand how refinement, especially spiritual refinement, the effect it can have on us,
on the
individual as well. When we go through that process of, will I say, distillation.
Yeah. Or purification.
Or purification would be a better word. Thank you for that. Yeah. Purification would be the equivalent of fractional distillation in crude oil.
Because we're not crude oil. Yeah. Okay. It's helping me form a clearer, more precise picture on the law of gravitation. Nice. So we've talked about the universal laws and how they play out. How do all this manifest in our faith? Because if I am to believe that I am the master of my faith, and everyone is a master of their own faith, where do the laws come in?
Okay. So I will start by putting some foundational aspects to this.
Okay.
We have to first of all understand what the difference between a law and a rule is.
That is a very valid point.
Yes.
Yes.
Because in so many ways, I would say our earthly representation of laws have diluted what an actual law is and represents.
Right.
Because we say we have some earthly laws, but there are some people it doesn't apply to.
Yes.
In all technicality, that's no more a law.
That's not a law.
That's just a rule.
That's just a rule. And that's why you hear statements like there are exceptions to the rule.
There are exceptions to the
but
rules.
nobody ever says there are
But
exceptions to the law.
There's no exception. There should be no exception.
There are
to
no
the
exceptions.
law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
see.
even
Because
as
the
highly
laws are like
placed-
physics. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's taking me back to the conversation
Yeah.
I had the last time where it's like this physical constant is this value and nothing changes.
And if you notice in physics, there are not many laws.
There are not many laws.
There are just
yeah.
about 3 fundamental laws.
Yeah.
And everything is subject to those laws.
Mm-hmm.
So even from a human experiencing perspective, these 3 laws were all subjected to it. The entire universe is subjected to these laws. Even the evolution of man, the creation of the worlds are subjected to these laws.
Those laws, yeah.
It's left for us to come to an understanding of how it works, but that doesn't mean that it isn't.
The laws are not there.
Yeah, I remember in our last episode, we were referring to the truth. And
Yes.
one of the inferences we made is the truth is.
Yes. So in this way, we can also say the laws are. Right. Right.
So you also have to give it the honor of perfection.
Yes.
Now, when you start from that aspect, one of the good parts it does is, in several ways, it makes you feel less of a victim.
And gives you agency over your own life.
Yes. I can't remember the particular law I was referring to, where I was like, well, I've definitely heard people question, why am I born in this country?
Yeah, I think it was the law of sowing and reaping.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it comes with this tone of feeling like a victim, feeling like you deserve better.
And feeling like you have been done an unfair deal.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
And there's this picture that comes to mind. Let me first of all ask you, let me digress.
Okay. Digress away. I'm all ears.
For you, what are your top 3 all-time movies? Classics.
Ooh, classics. Okay, so I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Okay.
I'll tag the trilogy as one.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely like the 2016 Denis Villeneuve.
Okay, let me narrow down
the Arrival. No, hold on. And then no, you already asked.
I'm looking for trouble.
You are looking for trouble.
Okay,
you
so
asked.
I'm looking.
Answer.
Okay, let's focus on movies.
And then the third one.
Okay.
The third one
you still
is
answer
the
this question again.
2005 like action thriller movie V for Vendetta.
Okay.
So those are my 3.
Now I'm going to ask you the question.
All right.
Different form. In terms of movies that have, do they call it a sequel? Like I ask part 1, part 2, part 3.
Oh, you mean like trilogies? Yeah, movies that have sequels, yes.
Sequel, yeah. That's the part 1, part 2.
Part 2, part 3, yeah. So technically, Lord of the Rings will be one of such movies.
So now I want 3 movies that follow that order.
Oh, okay. The Matrix has a 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
The Bourne series, like Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum, there's 3 of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the X-Men movies had 1, 2, and 3.
Are those your favorite?
No, they're not my favorites.
Oh, okay, because
the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings. Fair.
Good.
Oh, I think I understand your question now. This is gonna be a tough one.
It's not that tough.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is still number 1. I like the Dune movies, but the third part is not out yet. I also like the Hobbits. The Hobbits.
I mean, for
so
someone
in
that
film, we
loves
did
Lord
the
of the Rings,
Tolkien, Peter Jackson, cinematic universe.
Okay.
Anyway, but go on with the.
Yeah, for me, I like the Lord of the Rings. I don't know if it's in my top 3 yet. Well, I also do like the Matrix. Yeah, that might be in my top 3.
Yeah.
Still having a difficult time picking another one. But just so that I don't think too much, I'm going to pick a very, very unconventional one. Home Alone.
Really? I would never have guessed that would be your top 3, and I've never made it into my top 3.
So I didn't know how much I liked the movie consciously, but I've realized one of the ways I can gauge a movie I like is if I can, because I think I've told you this thing in the past that I struggle to watch a movie I've watched.
Yes, the second time. Yes,
second time.
You said so.
So any movie that I can afford to sit and watch a second, third, fourth time,
then it's like, okay, you really like.
Yeah, I really like this movie, even if I'm not so conscious of it. And Home Alone fell within that.
It's one of those few. Yeah.
But now, just to link this to a different concept, I really can't remember much of, let's say, the Lord of the Rings, but I know in Home Alone, for instance, it gets to a certain part where the key character is Kevin.
Yes.
And he's this notorious kid who doesn't act like a conventional kid.
Yes. Always getting into
always
trouble.
has a way of getting, he's very mischievous.
Yes.
Gets into trouble and unintentionally has made his parents leave him behind for certain family trips. And if you watch subsequent parts and you realize how paranoid his mother is, if you're just starting from, let's say, part 4, and you see his mother being so paranoid, one of the things we ask ourselves, why is she that paranoid? Like,
right.
And for someone to help you understand, the easiest thing they'll tell you is, if you watch the part 1,
if you start from
part 1, you would understand why she is paranoid. But if you want to start your judgment from part 4,
you wouldn't understand
it.
Yes.
And if you also want to make reference to your choice of movie, let's say Lord of the Rings, there are certain characters or...
Oh, yes. There's a lot of character development in the Lord of the Rings, and you wouldn't understand why Frodo is willing to give Gollum, that's Smeagol, a second chance or benefit of doubt if you haven't seen the first part or the second part.
Yes. So another instance that came to mind is, growing up, I loved Jackie Chan movies.
Yes, so did I.
I know a certain generation might not relate to this.
Rush Hour 1, 2, and I think is there a Rush Hour 3?
Well, yes, there might be.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I definitely remember one.
But here's one of the key things I loved Jackie Chan movies. At the end of every Jackie Chan movie, there's always the behind the scenes.
Yes, and you see all the stunts, the mistakes,
and everything,
the errors, the injuries sometimes.
And it messes you into an understanding of the movie better than how you appreciated it at first.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying all this to say that in several cases, because we don't have access to that behind the scenes or that first part of where the movie started, and we're probably starting from what could be seen as the part 5 or part 6,
or maybe even part 7,
or as high as it goes.
High as it goes.
Certain things now don't make sense.
Yes, because there's too much backstory.
There's too much backstory.
And there's too much behind it. Too many behind the scene moments.
So me questioning why was I born in Nigeria from a point of, let's say, negative emotion. It's similar to one of those people questioning, why is this thing happening in this way?
Yeah.
With that sense of entitlement of they're very sure it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah. Why am I born into a country like Nigeria?
Yeah. Why am I
going through?
Why am I not in the top 1% of the richest high net worth people?
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. And all those different inferences. Sorry, that was
inferences.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
It's allowed. We all make blunders. Yeah.
Yeah, just found an English word.
Right. We could concoct something that's the meaning.
Yeah, that's the meaning. Like I'm ready.
Send letter to Oxford Dictionary. Say, hey, we have a new word for you.
Yeah, insertion.
Yeah, it does sound. It sounds right, actually.
You know, I do this a lot.
And it rhymes with inflation. So
you know, I do this a lot with Scrabble.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yes, you told me about it. And then you hope that nobody calls your bluff. Incredible. So this is how you do it. Next time when we play Scrabble, I'll be sure to call every single bluff.
And people that try calling the bluff, for some reason the timing
doesn't work out well for them.
Yeah. So but yes, people make these questions, and if we were able to, for starters, I really don't want to say the Almighty, because you really can't say how people appreciate that,
how people stand in
context to that. But let's start with the universal laws.
Yeah.
If you can give it the honor of perfection, and appreciate that all that it does is from a point of pure love and justice.
Yes.
And it's not partial.
Mm-hmm. In the same way, the laws of physics are not partial. They just are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we choose to what degree we're going to align with it for our own benefits.
Yes. And the extent to which we align, in the same way, we could get hurt by, I don't want to say disrespecting the laws of physics, but I would say going against the laws of physics or working with the laws of physics in a way that could hurt you, just as would happen if you jumped off a 3-story building, right?
I mean, once upon a time, someone was asked to prove himself by jumping from a mountain.
Yes, the biblical story of the temptation of Jesus by Lucifer.
And even with the understanding of who he was and what he represented, he still understood the laws and
knew that. If I fell, I will smash onto the ground, and I'm not suicidal, so that's not gonna happen. Right.
Like a crippled messenger would definitely have an impact on the spread of his word and his movement and all that. So he understood the laws and knew that even with regards to who he was still subject to it.
Yes.
With that understanding, a good number of us might actually maybe go within to now try to figure out answers to those questions. I made reference to, for instance, the law of homogeneity, and most people might interpret it from just one angle. Like, let's say, people that like ice cream with me, people that share similar tastes in movies, people that like similar foods, people that like similar kinds of conversations,
people that like similar hobbies and
all that. But the laws still apply to weaknesses.
Yes.
People who like as corrupt as me.
Yeah. Right.
People that probably drink like me. People that probably indulge in other vices like me. Like, the laws also apply in that sense.
All the different interests, be they beneficial or non-beneficial, be they good or bad, will also serve as a mode or a means of attraction of homogeneous
something
individuals.
Similar. And we conveniently...
I hadn't thought about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
We conveniently omit that part. And it's just the law in its own neutral form executing this simple effect.
Yes. Which is that those who are of a certain homogeneous, homogeneity, be it positive or
negative, will be bound.
Will come together one way or
another. And if you understand those laws and use it as a guide to look within, to look around you, and ask yourself those questions of, okay, for starters, this thing I condemn so much, to what degree do I have it within myself? Even if it's not in the same form in which I condemn it, but the essence is there.
Yes. And we had a different conversation some weeks ago about addiction. About how addiction can be a means or a mode of homogeneity, even though the addiction itself might vary from person to person, right? I think this point you raised made me think about that aspect as well.
So, in several ways, it now helps you understand the statement, I am the sailor of my ship?
I am the master of my fate.
I'm the master of my fate.
The captain of my soul.
Yeah. So,
because besides being the master of your fate, you're also the captain of who you attract.
Yeah.
By virtue of your strengths and weaknesses and how you move through the world.
It's like this large ocean. And you directly or indirectly hold the compass.
Yes.
To what part of the ocean you would like to sail towards.
To what direction, what speed.
Yeah.
How well you sail the ship will also
navigate the waves.
Yes, determine how well you navigate the waves. If it's going to be a rough sail or a smooth sail. You fast or slow. North, south, east, west.
And in several ways, understanding these fundamental laws could assist that process.
And so in other words, it's like saying understanding deeper these universal laws will make you a better sailor.
Yes.
A better captain of the ship.
Because an actual captain of a ship, one way or another, understands the dynamics of the sea.
Yes.
He understands
a seasoned, experienced captain. Knows how to navigate even the roughest waters.
He understands
thunderstorms,
winds and how to align. You see it in movies where they raise their, what do they call
the sails, I think.
Cloth,
the banners and the...
They raise it in a manner where it's supposed to, let's
catch the wind in one direction
from one direction to help. Even if they want to turn, there are certain ones they drop down, there are certain ones they raise up. it's from that understanding of the dynamics of the sea and the ocean that he now understands that, okay, if this is the destination I have in mind, this is how I navigate to get to that destination.
That sounds hard. It sounds hard. It sounds like you would have to put in the work,
Yeah.
learn about navigation, learn about the sea, learn about the weather, the climate, how much rain you'd be getting.
I mean, sometimes you could start with beginner's luck, but there's only a limit to it to carry you.
Yes.
And there needs to be some intentionality towards how you navigate around this sea of life.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And yeah, that's where I stand with that. That's my perspective.
So the more we learn and internalize the universal laws, the better we are at navigating the sea of life as captains of our souls and masters of our fates.
Exactly. Exactly. And remember, I had alluded to the fact that as much as I've experienced these laws personally in my own life, in several ways, I got an aid which helped me, which pointed me in the direction first of the fact that there were laws before I started to interrogate and reflect and see it manifest in my life. And I don't want to look like a guru who came up with
all of the knowledge all by himself.
Nope.
Yes. Tell us about your sources.
Yes. So there are a couple of lectures within the work In the Light of Truth, the Girl Message, which helps to capture these in very comprehensive form. And I feel maybe what we could do is, after we return from the break, we could share excerpt readings from those lectures so that you and I and listeners who are out there also have a direct feel of the words itself. And they best...
And maybe in my line of questioning, I didn't quite capture it as best as I could as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best way to give the listener the best value is to share the text directly as it is.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Our excerpt reading for today is taken from the lecture Fate. Here, we get to understand how we form our fate. Men speak of deserved and undeserved fate, of reward and punishment, retribution and karma. All these are only part designations of a law resting in creation, the law of reciprocal action. A law which lies in the entire creation from its earliest beginning, which has been inseparably interwoven with the great, never-ceasing evolution as an essential part of creating itself and of development. Like a gigantic system of the finest nerve strands, it supports and animates the mighty universe and promotes continual movement, an eternal giving and taking. Plainly and simply, and yet so aptly, Jesus Christ has already expressed it. What a man sows, that shall he reap. These few words render the picture of the activity and life in the entire creation so excellently that it can hardly be expressed differently. The meaning of the words is inflexibly interwoven with life, immovable, inviolable, incorruptible in its continual operation.
You can see it if you want to see. Begin by observing the surroundings now visible to you. What you call laws of nature are, of course, the divine laws, are the Creator's will. You'll quickly recognize how unswerving they are in constant activity. For if you sow wheat, you will not reap rye, and if you scatter rye, it cannot bring you rice. This is so obvious to every man that he simply never reflects on the actual process. Therefore, he does not become at all conscious of the strict and great law resting in it. And yet, here he faces the answer to a riddle, which need be no riddle to him. Now, the same law which you are able to observe here takes effect with equal certainty and force also in the most delicate things, which you are only able to discern through magnifying glasses, and, going still further, in the ethereal part of the whole creation, which is by far the larger part. It lies immutably in every happening, also in the most delicate development of your thoughts, which also still have a certain element of material substance. How could you imagine that it should be different just where you would like to have it so? Your doubts are in reality nothing more than the expression of your inner wishes. In all existence, visible and invisible to you, it is no different, but each kind produces its own kind, no matter what the substance. Just as continual are the growing and developing, the bearing of fruit, and reproducing of the same kind. This process runs uniformly through everything. It makes no distinction, leaves no gap. It does not stop at some other part of creation, but carries the effects through like an unbreakable thread, without interruption or cessation. Even though the greater part of mankind, in their limitation and conceit, have isolated themselves from the universe, the divine or natural laws have not ceased on that account to regard them as belonging to it, and to go on working without change, calmly and evenly. But the law of reciprocal action also stipulates that whatever a man sows, thus, where he causes an effect or consequence, he must also reap. Only at the beginning of every matter is man free to resolve, free to decide where the omnipotent power flowing through him is to be guided in what direction. He must then bear the consequences arising from the power that was set in motion in the direction willed by him. In spite of this, many persist in asserting that even so, man has no free will if he is subject to fate. This foolishness is only meant to serve as a narcotic, or to be a grudging submission to something inevitable, a discontented resignation, but mainly a self-excuse.
For each of these consequences, falling back on him, had a beginning, and at this beginning, the cause of the subsequent effect lay in a previous free decision by man. This free decision has at some point or other preceded every reciprocal action, thus every fate. With the first volition, man has each time produced or created something which he himself has to leave afterwards, sooner or later. When this will happen, however, varies greatly. It can still be in the same earth life in which his first volition made the beginning for it. But it can equally well happen in the ethereal world when the gross material body has been laid aside, or later still, in yet another gross material earth life. The variations are not important here. They do not free man from the consequences. He carries the connecting threads with him continually until he is redeemed from them. That is to say, detached through the final effect that ensues through the law of reciprocal action. The one who forms is bound to his own work, even if he has intended it for others. If, therefore, a man today decides to do another an ill turn, either in thoughts, word, or deed, he has thereby put something into the world, quite irrespective of whether this is generally visible or not. Thus, whether gross material or ethereal, it has within it power and therefore life, which continues to develop and walk on in the desired direction. How it will affect the person for whom it is intended depends entirely on the psychic condition of the one concerned, to whom it may thereby bring either much or little harm, perhaps also different from what was intended, or even none whatever. For again, the psychic state of the one concerned is solely decisive for himself. Hence, no one is exposed to such things unprotected. It is different with him who, through his actions and his volition, has given rise to this movement. That is to say, who was its producer? His product remains unconditionally bound to him, and after a short or long journey in the universe, returns to him reinforced, laden like a bee, through the attraction of similar species. Here, the law of reciprocal action takes effect in that every product in its movement through the universe attracts or is itself attracted by various similar species, through whose union a source of power then comes into being, which sends back, as from a power station, reinforced power of the same kind to all those who through their products are connected as if by cords with the assembly point of similar species. Through this reinforcement, An ever greater density also occurs until there finally arises from it a gross material precipitation in which the one-time producer must now live and experience to the full what he once willed, in order at last to be freed from it. That is the origin and development of the so dreaded and misunderstood fate. It is just, down to the minutest and finest shading, because through the attraction of only similar species, it can never bring in the returning radiation anything other than what was actually willed personally in the beginning. Whether for a particular individual or in general makes no difference here, for it is naturally also the self-same process when man does not specifically direct his volition to one or several persons, but lives generally in some kind of volition. The kind of volition which he decides upon determines the fruit he must eventually reap. Thus, countless ethereal threads cling to man, or he to them, all of which let whatever he once willed flow back to him. These currents result in a mixture that constantly has a strong influence on the forming of his character. Thus, in the mighty machinery of the universe, there are many things which contribute to how man fares, but there is nothing to which man has not himself first given cause. He furnishes the threads out of which, in the untiring loom of life, the cloak he has to wear is made. Christ plainly and distinctly expressed the same when he said, "What a man sows, that shall he reap." He did not say, "Can he reap?" but he shall. That is the same as saying, he must reap what he sows. How often does one hear otherwise very sensible people say, "It is incomprehensible to me that God should allow such a thing." But it is incomprehensible that men can speak thus. How small they imagine God to be with this remark. They prove thereby that they think of him as an arbitrarily acting God. But God does not at all directly intervene in all these small and great cares of men, such as wars, misery, and other earthly matters. From the very beginning, he has woven into creation his perfect laws, which automatically carry out their incorruptible work so that all is accurately fulfilled, forever taking effect uniformly, thus preventing any preference as well as any prejudice and injustice being impossible. Hence, God has no need to trouble himself especially about this. His work is without flaws. But one of the principal mistakes so many people make is that they only judge according to gross matter, regarding themselves as the center therein, and taking into consideration one Earth life, whereas in reality, they already have several Earth lives behind them. These, as well as the intervening times in the ethereal world, are equal to one uniform existence, through which the threads are tightly stretched without breaking, so that in the effects of a particular earthly existence, only a small part of these threads therefore becomes visible. Hence, it is a great mistake to believe that at birth an absolutely new life begins, that a child is thus innocent, and that all happenings can be accounted for in only the short life on earth. If this were true, then the existing justice would naturally require the combined causes, effects, and reactions to occur during the span of one earth life. Turn away from this error. You will then also soon discover in everything that happens the logic and justice which are now so often missed. Many are alarmed at this and afraid of what they still have to expect from the past through the reaction in accordance with these laws. But such are unnecessary worries for those who are in earnest about the good volition. For in the self-acting laws also lies at the same time the certain guarantee of mercy and forgiveness. Quite apart from the fact that, with the firm beginning of the good volition, a limit is immediately set for the point where the chain of evil reactions must come to an end. Yet, another process of immense importance comes into force. Through the continuing good volition in every thought and deed, a constant reinforcement also flows retroactively from the homogeneous source of power, so that the good becomes more and more firmly established in man himself, emerges from him, and first of all forms accordingly the ethereal surrounding that envelopes him like a protective covering, in much the same way as the atmospheric layer round the earth affords it protection. Now, when evil reactions from the past return to this man to be redeemed, they slide off the purity of his surrounding or covering and are thus deflected from him. But should they nevertheless penetrate this covering, the evil radiations are either immediately disintegrated or at least appreciably weakened, so that the harmful effects cannot manifest at all, or only to a very minor extent. In addition, through the resulting transformation, the actual inner man to whom the returning radiations are adjusted has also become much more refined and lighter through the continuous striving for the good volition, so that he no longer has any homogeneous affinity with a greater density of evil or base currents. Similar to wireless telegraphy, when the receiver is not tuned in to the energy of the transmitter. The natural consequence of this is that the denser currents, because they are of a different species cannot take hold of anything and thus pass harmlessly through without evil effect, redeemed by some unconscious symbolic action, the various kinds of which I will speak about at some later time. Therefore, set to work without delay. The Creator has placed everything in creation into your hands. Make use of the time. Every moment holds disaster or gain for you. This series was brought to you by Information Depository. For further inquiries, please send us an email to theinformationdepository@gmail.com. For more insightful content, follow us on our social media platforms, which you could find in the description below. To explore the original work and the excerpts featured in this episode, visit www.growmessage.com or send us an email. Thank you for listening.